Hey everybody, welcome back to Mary Bird's Backyard Garden. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mary.
And we're here again with another exciting episode, Mary. What do you think?
We've reached episode 30.
What?
Yes.
That is,
A
honestly,
milestone.
that is amazing. I'll tell you what, that is actually a good milestone. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's been pretty awesome.
It's been exciting.
It has been exciting. What else you got going on? So I gotta ask you, as we always do, what's new in the garden, Mary?
Oh, the tropical weather out in the Gulf has brought in blooms to the ceniza, or they call it Texas sage also. All over our neighborhood is just really beautiful right now, filled with a light purple bloom on a gray. Some of them have gray leaves, and they are like a weather barometer. And so it's always such a nice surprise when they flush out and bloom.
And we're seeing them because now we can say we're walkers.
We walk. Walkers? Yes.
Every morning we get up and walk. We've been doing it for, you know what? We started on our trip when we were in Europe, and our daughter walked her feet off for every day for the 2.5, 3 weeks we were there. And then
we're like wooden
oh my
things
gosh.
walking.
Yeah. You can really show the age difference when we started. And when we came back, Mary said, we got to keep going. We got to keep doing this. It's good for us. So regardless of how we feel in the morning, we definitely get up and one or the other of us motivates the other to get going in the morning and walk. And I think, as you said, the one thing around here in the neighborhood, we got our little route that we take. A lot of stuff blooms. I know you get a chance to look at stuff, and you're always pointing stuff out to me, even though I probably don't know what you're talking about, but you still point it out to me. You take some pictures.
I love it. And I get to see how other people are being creative.
You do. It is kind of, it's people. I mean, people do all kinds of things. And we take the pups with us, about half the time. So we get to interact with some neighborhood puppies, or they do at least. But yeah, it's been pretty cool.
I'm glad they get to interact with the neighborhood puppies.
Yeah, they do. They're something. But yeah, it's been fun. I think I know you like to go and point people's stuff out. I
do. And there is a tree that we pass by every day, and it is about probably 12, 14 feet tall by now, and it has graceful arching lace-like leaves. It only does a light shade, and this is a super duper water-wise tree form, and it's called the Weesach. And the blooms have been coming on since late to July. Yellow cascading blooms. It is so gorgeous, just lovely.
Nice.
So that's on my list of possibilities.
Now the downside for me is that your list is growing.
The downside is it is quite thorny. It's one of the trees that are very thorny.
All right, so that's a maybe. We'll put that in the maybe bucket, or we'll put it somewhere where the grandkids and the dogs
and
can't get it.
And a little warning to our listeners, I had brought home a beautiful Palo Verde tree, and I wasn't sure where I wanted to plant it, so I thought I'll just heel it in here in this little protected spot by the side of the house until I get ready to plant it. And then time went by, and I never got around to moving it. Well, it was beautiful, gorgeous, lovely, dynamic, and I loved it, but we had to cut it down because it was too close to the house.
Yeah.
So if you're going to bring home something and you need to heel it in for a while, choose a protected spot that's not close to any of your foundations.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good tip.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to...
Especially because it's fall, we're going to be getting new plants in.
Okay. Are we going to be doing anything this week? Are we going to be gathering plants, perhaps?
Today.
Oh, today. Okay.
This very day.
All right.
We're off and running.
All right. You got a list? You got some things in your mind that you want to get?
I do. And they're associated with what we're going to talk about today.
Very, very good. Well, I'm going to give everybody a heads up. We have allowed the puppies into our studio today because because a couple episodes back, even though we're pretty far away from the front door, we're upstairs. We do have a studio, not soundproof,
doors closed,
and they were barking, and I know it came through on the podcast. So we're gonna try them up here today and see how this works out. So far, it's not bad. They're wandering around just watching.
Currently, one of them is lying under your feet.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we'll see. Just a shout out to that. Okay, so what do we have up on the agenda today?
Our topic of the day is, how do you say this word, Jeffy? I'm going to give you a little
test.
Okay. Right there. How would you pronounce that word?
The Kalanchoe? Kalanchoe.
Yes.
Mother of thousands.
Mother of thousands.
Okay.
The Kalanchoe is one way that people say this. It's also called the Kalanchoe.
Okay.
And I learned it as the Kalanchoe.
Okay.
So
I don't know where you get that one from. That one's
because it has an E on the end.
All right.
So I don't know.
Whatever.
But anyway, most of the prevailing wisdom today is that you say Kalanchoe.
Okay.
And so that's a plant that if you go into any grocery store or any garden center, they are everywhere. They're just cheerful and bright. They're a little evergreen plant that you could gift as a hostess gift or to someone who's possibly not feeling well. It's a lovely plant. And actually, what brought it into our radar is because this past weekend started football season. Mm-hmm. And you went to the grocery store to get all types of football snacks. We had everybody over. And when you came in, what did you have in your hand?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I rarely look at names of things. So I'm assuming I brought a Kalanchoe home. I just thought it looked pretty cool. I wanted to bring it home. But I'm bad about just kind of like, hey, that looks cool. Let me bring it home. Cool. And then I figure you'll figure it all out and deal with it.
You did bring home a Kalanchoe.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
So when you find them in the grocery stores, they are usually blooming with the pretty little flowers. And so you brought home an orange. Mm-hmm. One with
my favorite color.
Flowers, dark green leaves. Gorgeous. And that sent me down the track of looking up the Kalanchoe.
Nice. Okay.
Kalanchoes were discovered in Madagascar, and they grow in tropical Africa. And they were first written about in 1763.
Wow.
By Michael Adamson, who was a French botanist. And so he attached the name Kalanchoe to this plant. It was from a Chinese, the way they said it, for one of the members of this species.
Okay.
And so that's how it got its genus name. It's in the family of the Crassulaceae, which includes jade plants, and we grow those all the time. They have those big, fleshy leaves. Mm-hmm. They're dark green. And so it falls under that family. The genus is Kalanchoe, and then the varieties are a lot of varieties. So there's between 168 to 200 different types of Kalanchoe.
Who the heck took time to do that?
I know.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Well, like I said, they are from Madagascar and tropical Africa, but they're a succulent. So they do grow in the arid situations where they don't get rain all the time. And when we're growing them in our house, that's what we want to replicate. So probably it's very interesting. What I read is that there are three distinct times that you should water. In the wintertime, you want to watch the leaves. If they begin to look wilty or sad, kind of wimpy or lumpy or wrinkly, you want to go ahead and water and then wait until you get to that point again. In the summertime, you only want the surface of the soil to be dry, and then you're going to go ahead and water because it's hotter outside. And I think that really is geared for maybe ones that you have on your porch or
Yeah, I was going to say, because it's kind of an indoor plant, isn't it? Or I guess it's both, maybe.
Well, it is a wonderful houseplant, I do have to say.
Houseplant, there you go.
But it can grow outside, and I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit.
Okay, stealing your thunder. Sorry
steal
about
my
that.
thunder. Well, one of the things is in the spring and in the fall, what you want to do is you want to let the soil only dry out to like an inch. You want to dig around with your finger, see how far down. And when it gets dry like that, you want to go ahead and water it thoroughly and then let it have another period of drying out. And they are a good house plant if you live outside of zones 10 to 12. If you live in zones 10 to 12, they're a perennial plant. They grow into shrubby bushes. They could get up to 3 or 4 feet tall, maybe 3 or 4 feet wide. And
So are those the zones like more in the cold, the areas that are colder, like northeast or?
zones 10 to 12 are like the very southern part of Texas, very southern part of Florida.
Oh, different. Okay.
Southern
that's interesting.
California.
I got you.
Maybe, I don't know about San Diego. I'd have to look that up.
Okay.
But down that way.
All right.
And then 12, of course, goes on further.
Okay,
down.
so it goes south and not north.
Yeah, they really don't like it if it gets below 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which would be around 10 to 27 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
So they, if you're going to be growing them inside the house, they like a bright light, but you don't want to put them in a hot windowsill or they'll get sunburn. And you could tell that by black spots forming on the leaves, or they might look brown or crispy. So you just want to move them further back from the light. Probably, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 feet away from a southern facing window might be ideal to keep it blooming, And I thought that was really interesting that you have to watch for seasonal changes. And that's because they do enter a bloom period in the spring, and they also enter, a growth period in the warmer weather. But for let's say you brought home our little Kalanchoe, and she's blooming. She's just gorgeous. And they will last a very long time. That's another reason why they're very popular. The blooms really last. But as they get older and it's, past time, you're going to trim the old blossoms back to, above the leaves that are growing. And then let's say you want to give it a rest, but then encourage it to bloom again. This species is daylight sensitive. So the way you bring it back into bloom is by covering it or putting it in a dark place for 14 or more hours per night, and then bringing it out into the light for 10 hours in the daytime.
Wow.
And you do that for like 6 weeks, and you want to hold your water back right before you do that. It'll be a little bit dry, and then you go through that process for 6 weeks. You monitor the water. Don't let it get too dry, and bring it out into the light, and it should
that's pretty cool.
Blossom for you.
Yeah, that's neat.
Again. And it probably should have a little bit of a balanced fertilizer where each of the numbers are the same at that time. But that's really the only time you need to think about fertilizing.
Okay.
Yeah. But the one that you brought home is called Kalanchoe blossfeldiana.
Okay. I knew that.
You knew
No,
that?
I didn't know that.
So in 1926, they were in Madagascar, and they quote unquote discovered this species with the real pretty blooms. And so it was brought back to Europe, and Robert Blossfeld introduced it across Europe in 1930. And then it is really everywhere. The little Blossfeldiana will get to be about 1 foot by 1 foot in size. It can be grown as a houseplant. If you're going to grow it outside, give it bright light, but not direct sunlight. If it gets a touch of morning light but afternoon shade, that would be perfect. And it has another common aspect to it as the Mother of Thousands. Mother of Thousands is like a little different variety to that one. It is, I am not going to do well with this name.
Okay.
Kalanchoe diagrammantiana.
Whoa.
Ooh, I hope I said that right.
Yeah, hey, you were
It's
close.
also called Mother of Thousands.
There you go. That's what we call it.
So the cool thing about this plant, now the Kalanchoe diagrammantiana actually was mentioned in the Central Texas Gardener as being able to be an outdoor plant.
Oh, wow.
And growing in maybe a rock garden, somewhere where it gets some water, but it doesn't get overloaded with water. And also in a container, in a mixed planting container with other plants that like that same condition, such as a sedum, which would be very pretty, a lime green sedum. Ooh, that would be just gorgeous. But anyway, these plants grow. They could have an oblong leaf, or they could have more of an arrow-shaped leaf, fleshy. Some are gray. Some can be dark green. They could also have a waxy surface, like your jade plant. You know, we all know that kind of a waxy, shiny surface. Or they could be fuzzy or hairy. And what happens is the little tiny plants form all along the edge of the leaf. And then as they mature, they'll drop into the soil and create more plants for you.
That's pretty cool.
And that's why it's called Mother of Thousands. I know.
I knew we were going to get to it.
You knew it. Finally. But I think that is one that I might be looking for today.
Oh, so I started something, did I?
You did start something. So there's a couple of other varieties that I am excited about. And I think that I have seen them. Well, one of them we actually have in the garden, and I didn't realize it. So some of the varieties can take more sun than others. And we were wandering through one of the home centers recently, and I said, oh my gosh, this is recommended for full sun. And I grabbed the plant. We brought it home, and I talked about it. It was called flapjacks. Mm-hmm. And so it is actually a Kalanchoe.
Oh, wow.
I did not know that when we brought it home. It's doing very well. It could get like 3 feet tall by 2 feet wide. And it's so interesting. You're going to love this. So it doesn't grow up. It forms a rosette of these paddle-shaped leaves. It's also called a paddle, Kalanchoe. And what happens is it is actually monocarpic.
Oh.
That was a Jeff's Corner.
That was why, it blooms one time.
It blooms one time.
I remembered that, yeah.
That's correct.
Hey.
So it'll create more plantlets, but it does bloom once, and then the parent plant dies out. And the Blossfeldiana, it's called Kalanchoe thyrsiphilora, I believe. Anyways, both of these plants will attract hummingbirds if they're outside. Yeah. And the flower that the flapjacks produces lasts for many months. It is a long-lasting flower. And then the one I'm going to look for today, I'm pretty sure I've seen this before, It has gray leaves with dark spots on them, like maybe brown or purple, and it's hairy. And it could be called the spotted kalanchoe or the pen wiper because it looks like you have put a big ink spot on the leaf.
Okay.
And one of the recommended varieties of that one is called Desert Surprise. And it could be like 2 feet by 2 feet. And it is a Kalanchoe humilis.
Oh, okay.
So we might look for that one today.
All right.
And then there's one that just captured my attention. I have to look it up. It's so tiny. It could get 8 inches by 8 inches, and it's called the Kalanchoe pumila, dwarf kalanchoe, or flower dust plant. And what it is, it has tiny arching branches with little gray leaves, and at the end of those leaves are the tiniest little pink flowers, and it's just beautiful. I'm definitely going to be looking for that one. But did you have any other questions about the Kalanchoe?
I did not know when I brought that plant home from the grocery store that it was going to lead to this. I just said, hey, this looks like a cool little plant. I'll bring it home to Mary. Let her see what she can do with it.
Well, it has a very wide and varied history.
That's pretty cool. I like it.
It's pretty cool.
No, that was a cool history. The one thing I'll just throw this out there. You said they were in, I think, Madagascar, right? Where they found it.
Yes.
I always wonder, and this isn't a question because you can't answer the question, but I always wonder, they go over there. Number one, how do they know it's unique? And then they bring it back and then they kind of name it. And I don't know. I always wondered, like, it's a big world out there. So how did this guy know? All right, this is unique and I got to bring it back. I'm going to name it. And you know what? It's a rhetorical question. There's no answer to it.
But in all honesty, I think that they just mass gathered, probably. And the other thing is, as we've moved forward through history, things have been reclassified. They've been placed into different families. And one of the species, I believe that I can't remember exactly which one it was. I think it might have been the flower dust plant. Actually, there is a question about whether it should be in this genus or possibly another genus. I mean, I think that happens a lot.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, then somebody else may find something, and I just think it's very curious. I know there's a whole database at this point with all this stuff in it, but...
Well, there is, and when they began to gather plants, they would classify them according to, well, this plant has this type of leaf shape, this plant has this structure or variety to it. And then as we've progressed through time, today we might look at DNA sequencing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It has a lot to do
all
with
right. That was my only question. I thought that was cool. That was a cool little history on the plant from the grocery store, I'm going to call it.
I love it. I love it.
Very good.
The plant from the grocery store.
Nice.
So we'll keep you updated on how it goes. And today, one of the things I would like to do is a fall, I don't think you could call it a centerpiece, of like a fall planting of a variety of kalanchoes for our little table in the dining room.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, I guess we're going to be busy then today.
I think you are.
Okay. I said we, but okay. All right. What else you got?
I was wondering if you were thinking of something for Jeff's Corner.
I do have a Jeff's Corner. I definitely have a Jeff's Corner. You know what? I got to
do your
let me start it out with Jeff's Corner. I wanted to talk today about our lawnmower.
Hey.
And when we moved into the house almost 6 years ago, so we all grew up. I grew up with gas lawnmowers. Not going to say they were not frustrating. Very frustrating. Number one, half the time I went out there, I didn't have gas, so I had to go, get gas.
Or the spark plug.
Or their spark, or when they sit over the winter, and I'm not the greatest at keeping up with maintenance. I know there's a lot of people who do all the right things, right? They at the end of the year, they get it all ready so when spring comes, they're ready for it. I'm not one of those guys. So we decided to go the electric route. And we had not, the only electric ones I had seen in the past were the ones where you got to run the wire, the plug and stuff. I'm like, I'm definitely not doing that. So which tells you how long we've been out of the game for looking at these. So we went with an Ego lawnmower, electric lawnmower. It's a 21-inch lawnmower, and ours is not self-propelled. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you, so a couple things about it. I'll give you a little thing. So we've had ours almost 6 years, and I love it. I mean, it has a battery that you charge. The battery on ours, I could come close to getting the front and back done.
When one thing I'll insert here is when Jeff mows our front and backyard, it ends up on his watch running about 2 1/3 miles.
Yeah, I mean, with all of the yard work, I mean, and we don't have by any means a huge yard, but we have a decent sized yard. So I will say, a couple of things about the Ego lawnmower, and we obviously ours is 6 years old, so they have some newer ones out, and they have self-propelled ones if that's kind of your thing. But one of the biggest differences is the weight. So a gas lawnmower obviously has a little motor on it. And, they're not the lightest things in the world. So the Ego lawnmower is very light. So I didn't personally think I needed self-propelled to have it, self-propelled. It's easy to push, cuts great. And I honestly, I just love it. A couple of things, it's not loud.
No.
There's it does have noise. I mean, I'm going to tell you, but it's not going to be something that disrupts anybody. Definitely not loud. You don't get that, and which I kind of like. I'm not gonna lie, is that good gas smell. I'm a gas smell guy. I do like that because I like the cars and stuff. But you don't get any of that, obviously. And it's it's just easy to use. Ours is a 21-inch deck, and it's adjustable. You can go, so the heights. You can adjust the heights. There's not much to it. I mean, I'm just be honest with you. It's basically put the battery in, adjust the height, and go. And it's very, very easy to use. I would highly, highly recommend them if that's something that you're looking at. I think the cut has been really good on it. Not had issues. I was telling Mary I probably need to get the blade sharpened. It's been a while, but I love it. Now, the one thing I will say, we went from the lawnmower, and I said, "Hey, that's pretty cool. I like that." And then we've expanded our range. So they're 56-volt batteries on these. So they actually do. The lawnmower will last probably through the front and half the back at this point before it runs out. So I generally do the front, and then I weed eat and do other stuff, but. We did buy the weed eater. That's Ego. I mean, we're making them all kinds of money. I have the weed eater. I have an edger that I bought.
So nice.
We have the blower, and we have the tree trimmer or the hedge trimmer.
Yes.
And so we have all those. And just so you know, most of those come with batteries. So the lawnmower battery is a bigger one, but the batteries are interchangeable. So right now I have 3 batteries. And so what I do is make sure they're all charged. I'll start, if I know I'm going to do it. They don't take long to charge. They take about an hour. So, I'll mow the lawn. I'll take that battery out, get it charging. I'll take one of the other batteries, put it in, and just keep going. And they have been, I will say, they have been wonderful. And I really, really enjoy them. I like the idea that when I go out, the only thing I need to do is make sure the battery's charged. I don't have to worry if I have gas. I don't have to pull start. Oh my gosh. Remember the pull starts?
Yes.
Holy
I
smokes.
could never manage the pull
start.
No,
the pull starts. I mean, and then, the carburetor gets messed up or the spark plug's not good and you're pulling and, you're sweating before you even start. So
I know.
These have been great. So I would recommend to you and Ego is not the only brand out there. But it is the one that we have, and I would definitely highly recommend it. But there's other brands out there. So if you're thinking about it, I would definitely say look at some reviews online, make your own decision, obviously, but I would not go back at this point. I absolutely love it. I mean, it's convenient, it's easy, it's fast. It does everything that we want it to do. And like I said, we've kind of bought into some of the other products as well, and they're all the same. All I need to do is throw a battery in, the blower, I blow, and do this and that. So I just kind of a quick review on that. And,
we actually use the mulching feature on the
we do use the mulching feature.
lawnmower, and it has worked so well. I mean, you really can't find any piles of grass after you mow as you're walking across the yard. It really does a good job.
No, it really does. I mean, they've got these things. I mean, I think, like I said, mine's 6 years old almost.
And
I
that's
think,
hard to believe.
Yeah, and I think even the newer ones, I think they're probably maybe even a little more efficient. They run about $400 to $500 for the mower. But you're not buying gas, and honestly, there's zero maintenance. I mean, there is zero maintenance, which I really like. I think if you get the self-propelled one, I do think that's going to run the battery down a lot faster. But I'm just telling you from my experience, they're very, very light. And for me, at least, I don't need self-propelled. I don't need it doing that. It's easy to push, and I can kind of maneuver the thing around without any issues. So if you get a chance, you haven't yet, or if you're on the fence, I would recommend kind of doing a little more research. But I could definitely highly recommend the Ego line of tools out there.
Wow, that is very good.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Yeah, it's kind of, and it's fun. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's fun. It's so easy just to switch a battery out.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, easy. I don't even know how to say it. It's just easy. I'm not pull starting everything.
Now, I don't use the edger, but I love the edger because I used to try to do it by hand.
Yeah.
And that was an all-day job. But, and I don't use the weed eater, but I definitely make use of the blow vac.
Yeah. Blower?
Leaf blower.
Leaf blower.
And I also make use of the edging of the hedge trimmer.
Yep.
Which is very powerful. It does
It is, yeah.
anything that we ask it to do, and it does quick work. And yes, and I'm able to lift them and maneuver them and manage them. So that works out really well.
Yeah, and and just to kind of end this, but you made a good point. So I think probably one of my concerns was the power, because you're not getting the power of a motor. These things have the power to do whatever it is you're trying to do. That's not in at least for us, and I think we're pretty typical of what a lawn would be.
Yes.
The power is not an issue, and it will tend, honestly, on higher grass, if it waits too long, it will kind of adjust itself on the power. You will see it, and which is interesting, because if the grass is really high and I'm kind of going through it, you'll kind of notice that it ups the power, and it will run out a little bit quicker. But the power is there, and it literally can do anything that we need to do around the house. And we've got, like I said, all the other things. So we're kind of self-contained now as far as doing lawn work. So
I like it.
give it a shot out there if you get a chance, and check out some reviews. Like I said, there's other models and other brands as well. I think there's some other good ones too, but I would definitely highly recommend the Ego Power stuff.
I applaud your Jeff's Corner today. That was
Jeff's
very
Corner.
interesting
Woo-hoo.
and informative.
There you go. Well, that's all I had for Jeff's Corner. What else you got?
I am looking at the September to-do list that's recommended by Central Texas Gardener. And I highly recommend anyone to look up that website. They're very informative. And so I'm looking in here, and one of the things that I would like to do again this year is we planted, of course, we did our pocket prairie and planted our wildflower seeds. Now we're coming into the time to do that. And also get ready to put in cover crops. And one of the cover crops that we used last year was red clover. And, I threw it out there, and I just really didn't think that much about it. And it was beautiful. It was so lovely. Those longish red blossoms that came up on top of the clover, and you could whack it down and you could leave it in your garden to provide extra food for your plants. As long as it doesn't get to be a big pile, like we have recently learned you don't want to do,
right.
which we have not had any more trouble from the skunk arena.
No more skunks.
No more skunks. But yeah, that's what we need to start getting ready to do. So if you have we're coming to the time where it's going to be decreasing around our flower beds. So scattering some of these wildflower mixes or like a red clover in your mix is going to be very beneficial through the winter.
Okay,
so
nice.
That's what I am looking forward to doing this coming couple weeks, because we're coming towards the middle to late September. That's the time to start doing these things.
Woo, you keep me busy. I can see it. I can see it.
I know.
Okay.
We're going to start looking at seed package. Oh, and the other thing is, don't forget to order your Baker Creek seed catalog. I have sort of discovered that I'm really drawn to growing flowers. It's still an amazing resource for people that really like to grow flowers.
Okay.
So don't forget to put in your order.
Very good.
And that completes my thoughts for the day.
Well, thank you, Mary. And I got to give a shout out to the puppies. They actually just sat under the table here.
I'm in shock.
I'm thrilled.
Actually.
I'm not sure that they would do that every time, but you know what? We're 1-0 with the pups.
Oh,
so.
I have one puppy with his head on my foot.
Yeah, I know. I think they're doing good. All right. So, as always, we appreciate you guys joining us here each week and at Mary Bird's Backyard Garden for keeping up with us on our adventures. We've had quite a few adventures, but we're having fun.
We are.
Yeah, and trying to bring you guys some information as well, and I hope you're getting some value out of it. I think that's all.
And
yes.
look on our blog for photos of the Kalanchoe Blasfeldiana.
Yes, we will have the blog updated. Very good. Good point. And we're very much better at getting the blog updated timely. So give it a look as well. And again, we appreciate you guys joining us.
Happy gardening, and may all your seeds sprout.
Woo! Okay, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.